Nick, let's talk about the Chicago Bears. The Bears have kind of had a tale of two cities when it comes to the first half of the season pre-bye and the second half of the season post-bye. I think there's one crucial change that this offense has made that's really helped springboard this team forward. Made some interesting changes, really looking good after the bye, and we're gonna break all of that down here in just 1 second. But first, I'm Andrew. That's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, some interesting changes, decisions made by Ben Johnson to get this offense humming after the week 5 bye. Week 6 through 9, the offense has looked much, much better. And I think there's one thing in particular they have done to really amp things up. Let's get into our article, and then we can look at some of the statistics and the breakdowns on the other side. So this is from over on A to Z Sports. It says, coming out of the bye week, the Chicago Bears offense has started looking more and more like the offense head coach Ben Johnson was aiming to create. The Bears rushed for 186.5 yards per game since coming back on the field in week 6. That's absolutely crazy. A rate that easily leads the NFL. The Bears have been utilizing a 6th offensive lineman more in both pass and run plays with some solid success in those sets. When Chicago gets into those heavy looks, second-round rookie Ozzie Trujillo has been one player coming in as that 6th offensive lineman. Over the last 2 weeks, Trujillo's played 15 offensive snaps. 7 of those were design runs, and 8 were design passes. 1 was scramble for Williams for 5 yards, not important. On those run plays, the Bears are averaging over 5.5 yards per carry. And on the passing plays, the Bears hit 2 shot plays of 21 and 31 yards. So this 6 offensive lineman set is looking really, really strong for this Bears team. It's doing a lot of good things. And let's just break it down just so you can see here what it looked like pre and post bye. 4-5 plays pre-bye as far as this 6 offensive lineman package usage with not a lot of success, not a lot going forward. We look week 6 through 9. There's been almost 20 plays that they have used in this package so far. A good amount of plays with a good amount of success. 53 passing yards, 44 rushing yards. Really doing a great job of utilizing this. And I think it just shows, if you see the overall breakdown of pre and post bye, just what this offense has been able to create. We have that here. Just we see first bar chart here is just overall offensive grade pre-bye for the Bears was a 66.8 average overall grade in those first 4 games. The next 4 games post-bye, 75.8 overall grade for the Bears. So almost a 10-point jump there for them. Now we see pass blocking grade. Obviously, getting all extra offensive linemen in there, it's really going to have to help turn things around. Going to get this offensive line back on track, doing some good things. You see for the Bears, pass blocking, pre-bye, 60.2. Then post-bye, 73.7. So again, almost a 14-point jump for them. Then run blocking as well, 58.8 pre-bye grade, 75.7 post-bye grade. So again, addition of these 6 offensive linemen has helped this team in certain situations become a much better run blocking team. And overall, the offensive line as a whole has played much, much better. I think these new offensive schemes that Ben Johnson has implemented is really helping this team out. And it's helping individual players out as well. Because if we go to look at the best overall offensive grades for the offensive line tight end positions, the Bears are dominating as far as players in those positions. As you can see, the top 3 players, Darnell Wright, Jonah Jackson, Ozzie Trujillo. Small amount of snaps for Trujillo, but look at overall grades. They are absolutely dominating. And you can even see at number 6 down there, Colston Loveland ranking up there as well. So the Bears are looking really good. They're playing really good. This team looks much better. And I think it's all attributed to some of the changes and things that Ben Johnson has tweaked during the bye, coming into the second part of this season, doing some really good stuff. So I'm excited about what the Bears are bringing to the table. I think it's made a big difference. And I think this can make them become contenders down the stretch this season. Curious what your thoughts are on this one, Nick. But before we get to you, Bears fans, in the comment section below, let's talk about the offensive line. Let's talk about some of the players on this offensive line Who's been the MVP for you? Have you noticed a guy like Trapio coming in and out making a difference? Is he the MVP? Are guys like Jonah Jackson, really stepping up and making a big difference? Who's been the MVP across the offensive line? We like to talk about and reward good offensive line play on this channel. So give us your MVPs across that, the trenches in the front in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts on everything here for the Bears?
Look, this has been Johnson, right? And this is coming into the bye. The Caleb Williams led Chicago Bears offense had its moments, but it wasn't like, hey, not a physical football team, right? Even their big, impressive offensive performances had more to do with the passing game and big plays there and some Johnson creativity and some matchups than it did just physically overpowering people. But then it's changed post bye. Like, to your credit, their rushing numbers are off the charts. They dominated the Saints, proved it wasn't a fluke against the Bengals. Now, look, it is the Bengals defense, right? Let's be totally fair here. It's a bad defense, but when, we talk about it all the time, what do good teams do? They beat up bad teams. So obviously the corollary to that is, what do good offenses do? They beat up defenses, and that's what the Bears proved, that they are a good physical offense by beating up a bad defense. They checked that box, and they did it emphatically. But here's the point I want to make, Miles. You brought up the numbers. I think it's very important. You brought up Ozzie Trapio again, rookie stepping up in a big way. But let's look at the cast of characters that's emerging for the Chicago Bears football team. Kyle Monangai, not a top pick at all, rookie, late rounder, right? Emerging as a superstar stud. How about Theo Benedict, tackle emerging, a Canadian, right? Second year guy, prospect that, like, no idea what he was going to end up becoming. He's becoming a heck of a blocker, certainly in the run game. Going to have to take a deep dive of what he's doing there. I mean, he has become a stud. Right, you look at Darnell Wright, who obviously has been a good player, but he's emerging as a physical force in the run game, stepping up as he gets more experience, right? How about Colston Loveland, top 10 pick? Talk about him as a receiving threat. Obviously, big day against Cincinnati, but as a blocker, he's very active in space, doing a lot of good things there. We just did a film review of him, actually. Bears fans should check it out. We did one on Monangai as well. Check them out, both of them, if you haven't already, right? So this is a Bears team. It's not like they're loaded with all pros on these key positions when it comes to running the football, and that they're just finally living up to their potential. These are young guys, right? These are rookies. These are not, Loveland's a top 10 guy, is a first round guy, but Monangai isn't. Theo Benedict certainly wasn't anywhere close to that. And they're executing at a high level. They're physically dominating people. Now let's give credit also where credit is due to Ryan Poles with what he did this offseason on the offensive line. We talk about Drew Dalman. We talk about Joe Thuney, right? We talk about Jonah Jackson, massive upgrades, right? He looked at the interior of this offensive line and said, ain't good enough, not even close. We're going to go all in. We're going to go big. We're going to go strong. And it doesn't always work out. We see teams every year go hyper aggressive at certain position groups, and they overpay. They get the wrong guys. Guys are too old, whatever it may be. Ryan Poles targeted his guys, and he got them in the building, and they're doing a great job. So let's give credit where credit is due. Ben Johnson has done an incredible job with the schematic, integrating the young guys and finding the keys to this offense post-bye. But Ryan Poles also has done a great job in terms of who he added this offseason. Obviously, probably worked with Ben Johnson extensively to do that, but it takes two to tango, and Ryan Poles certainly did his part. And this sets up the Bears very nicely, right? Because if you look at it down the stretch, they're going to have to run the football. There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good pass rushers, right? Aiden Hutchinson, Micah Parsons, right? And those teams have other good pass rushers as well. They're going to have to figure out this weekend against the New York Giants, the next upcoming matchup. Listen, the Giants, they're a feisty football team. They can get after the quarterback. They got a lot of guys that can make life miserable for passing teams. Bears are going to have to run the football, and they got the personnel to do it. They got the young guys, they got the vets, they got the scheme, and they've got it all integrated together. It's setting up very nicely for Chicago. There is a concern, obviously. People talk about it. Caleb Williams, is he stepping up his game? Obviously, with the way he finished against Cincinnati, some of that's alleviated. But I'm not too worried about Caleb Williams. I'm not too concerned. He has all the physical tools and all the playmaking ability you want. I was honestly concerned the first 4 or 5 games of the season with the lack of a rushing attack for Chicago. Because if you look at Jared Goff and the Ben Johnson offense, his numbers started to explode when the Lions started to run the football consistently all the time, right? That's when, as it would logically make sense, Jared Goff had a much easier time and his numbers just went off the page. He started putting up crazy good numbers. The offense started scoring 40, 50 points. The Bears are following that same track, right? Running comes first. Once you get the running game down and you start dominating folks, Every defensive coordinator is going to go into every single game and say, okay, we got to make running at least hard for them. We got to do something here. And that opens up play action. It opens up one-on-one opportunities. It opens up wide open receivers downfield. It makes Caleb Williams' job that much easier. And that's what's coming next for Chicago, certainly down the second half of the season. This is what you've been waiting for, Chicago fans. This was the combination of Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson working together and creating this team. They've done a great job with the top picks. They've done a great job with the late rounders. They've done a great job with Canadians. They've done a great job with Michiganders across the board. They are crushing it. I think the Bears deserve a lot of credit. Not getting a lot of publicity right now. I don't quite understand why, but this Chicago team is set up very nicely for the rest of 2025.
Yeah, and I agree with a lot of stuff you say there. I think you're right, and I think you look at what this team has done. We said this offseason they went out, they fixed the interior of the offensive line, and although only Jackson out of those group have really been throwing numbers up on the board as far as being one of the highly rated guys, everybody else is doing very good. So what I think the Bears have done here is made a core on this offensive line of veteran players that are helping elevate these younger players, get them in positions, whatever, if it's just having those presences in their offensive line rooms, in the meetings and practice, whatever the case has been, it's really turned guys around or elevated them, helped them get to the next level. So we're seeing young guys come in like Trapillo really making huge impact in unorthodox positions. Seeing guys like Colson Loveland, really, who's more of a passing threat at first, come in, be a nasty blocker. We did his film review and he had a bunch of really just doggish plays out there, looking like a real guy for the Chicago Bears there. Then again, a guy like Darnell Wright breaking out, finally having a really big year after he had a pretty solid year last year, but really just coming into his own this year. I think, and of course, Benedette, the Canadian guy, don't want to forget him as well. He's really, I think he's the most interesting one because there was no expectations for him. There was no really just, people didn't know what to think about him. For him to come in and be the player that he has become, really, I think it's credit to having all of this talent around them. So the Bears, they're building something strong with the young guys where I think they can transition out of these old guys in the future and have this young core raise the next generation of offensive line that they bring into this building. So I think it was a really smart move. And I think, like you said, there's been a lot of moves the Bears have made that people have let go under the radar. Monangai is a guy who's really impressive, like you said, but just the Bears doing a lot of great stuff. I love to see what they're being able to do in the developmental phase. I love seeing guys like Ozzy Trapillo come on. But I think overall, this Bears team after the bye is looking very dominant, like a team that can make a push and make a postseason run this year.